I know we're getting closer to the time where we probably have to wrap up, but before we do, I really wanted to talk about this, and I know David's going to get super hyped when I mention it. Leo, you told us beforehand that you had that, when you were in high school, you helped, reform your charter school, and I just wanted to, give you that kind of platform to discuss what that process was like, because I think that sounds absolutely amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, the charter school system, we can probably do a whole series, whole podcast series on my thoughts on that. But
David will make it happen. I'm telling you.
let me know, man. Let me know. But no, there was just a lot of problems with, like, especially after, like, in the wake of, like, the death of George Floyd, and just like the larger, like, Black Lives Matter, like, movement that has, or the way it's like jumped into the mainstream media way more this, like, past summer and now. It was a lot of, like, just coming to terms of, like, the fact that charter schools on paper are made for, like, specifically, like, students of color, low income students, and, like, providing them with an opportunity to, like, close the achievement gap, to use that jargon. And it sounds really good on paper. It sounds like, like, this is the way that education should go, but in practice it can actually be implemented in very, like, just sort of to call it out, in very racist ways, in very white saviory ways. So it was a lot of just, like, having those really honest discussions of, like, not just when I was, like, this started, like, sophomore year, but, like, after, like, I graduated and stuff, like, having those discussions, and, like, the fact that, like, there's some policies that just, like, don't need to happen. And sort of, like, rooting my helping root my charter school more in, like, the social justice sphere, and, like, not just, like, being a school and doing what, like, providing education for students, but also just, like, building that self-esteem. Especially, I feel like it's important for BIPOC, like, young students, to really build that self-esteem, both academically and socially, especially when you're pursuing, like, higher education. So yeah, just having those honest conversations, and just checking in, like, here and there, how it's been going. It's a little difficult because everything's virtual now, so there's no exactly, like, it's
Mhm.
a behavior system. But yeah, it's been ongoing, and there's a lot of honest conversation going about what
Right.
school should look like.
Yeah, and in keeping with that spirit of honest conversation, I was hoping to, I mean, ask you, like, what are there any specific examples or observations of how execution and the idea, the dichotomy between the idea and the execution, right? Because, like you said, on paper, as with most things that are said in education, right? Like, classic example, the policy "no child left behind," on paper, in words, sounds fantastic. Who wants to leave children behind? If you do, you're crazy, you know. But then on practice, it was so detrimental to the functioning of many schools that, ironically, it left many children behind. And same exact situation here, right? On paper, charter schools were designed for, to bridge this gap, but like you said, it doesn't. And so, how exactly have you witnessed that it doesn't, right? It fails to live up to its name.
Yeah. So in my charter school, at least, we had to wear a uniform every day, right? And I say that, it's like, yeah, uniform. You can wake up, like, super late. You don't have to worry about what you're wearing. So it just, like, stops, like, this judgment based on, like, socioeconomic class and, like, what people are wearing. Um, but when you have very strict behavior, or sorry, uniform standard, it's like, I wasn't personally involved in, like, the movement at my school, but there was this huge movement. I remember sophomore year, the fact that, like, head wraps were banned, not, like, for religious reasons, just, like, for other reasons. But, like, I know there was a large movement of the fact that, like, head wraps and, like, do rags, usually associated. The first association was like, oh, like, a gang affiliation. And it's like, my entire school is, like, was full of, like, Black and brown students. It's like, if that's the first assumption that your school says about something like a head wrap or a do rag, then what are you trying to say about their students? So yeah, it was just like, and it's not always just, like, it's hardly ever a gang affiliation. It's mostly a cultural thing, or it's like, just, like, something you wear that just makes you feel good about yourself, like, whether it be with different prints, or, like, just different things like that. Like, they're beautiful. And just, like, allowing that to happen, instead of just, like, these stringent uniform, like, restrictions. It's a way to build self-esteem, and also sort of, like, the self-expression, and which I feel like what education in high school should really be about. Yeah, that's my little soapbox on that.
Oh yeah, for sure.